All right, guys, I'm going to jump in right into our presentation today. It is on ANT. Yes, abuse, neglect, and trauma. ANT, A-N-T. Easy way for you to remember the terms abuse, neglect, and trauma that we will definitely see a lot of throughout the exam and throughout our practice as social work professionals. So without further ado, let me move forward. The A stands for abuse. Abuse encompasses physical, emotional, and sexual harm. It often has lasting effects. So when you're thinking of abuse, think about it in terms of does it cause physical? Does it cause emotional? Or does it cause sexual harm? And is it something that is lasting? Absolutely. So some types and examples we have of physical harm would be hitting, slapping, bruises. Those show some type of physical abuse. And then we have emotional. Emotional, those verbal attacks or manipulation. And then sexual, that is the unwanted touch or exploitation. So these are some terms and some examples when we're talking about the category of abuse. Let's move on to the N, which is neglect. Neglect involves the failure to meet basic needs, such as food, shelter, and emotional support. For physical neglect, some examples of that would be the lack of food, the lack of shelter, and the lack of medical care. So if you know a child or someone that is or an elderly person and they're not receiving these things, because if they're a child, we're not using their parents or their caregiver are the ones that are supposed to do this. And if they're elderly and unable to care for themselves, they have a caregiver. So we want to make sure that if you're working with clients, you can pick up on if they're being abused or if they're being neglected. And these are some examples of some things to look for. Emotional neglect, that is withholding love and withholding support. So again, there are different types of neglect. You have physical and emotional. That T, trauma. Trauma is an emotional response to a distressful event. So something did not go well. It was very stressful. And as a result, the client experienced some trauma. An example of this would be PTSD from like someone that has been abused or someone that's experienced a significant loss. So when it comes to understanding trauma, there's some signs that I want you to remember. FPW. So we have ANT, which is abuse, neglect, trauma. Absolutely. Now we have FPW. These are the signs that I want you to look for when you're trying to not diagnose, but kind of detect whether someone has been dealing with trauma. So you want to see if you can identify any fearfulness, any physical marks like bruises or cuts, and maybe some withdrawal from like the normal activities or people that they would typically be around. Some intervention tips, RBT. We're going to look for the RBT approach. This is how we intervene if an individual is dealing with trauma. We report. We are mandated reporters. So we're mandated reporters, meaning that it's mandatory for us to report if we see or suspect any abuse or neglect. Also, when working with clients, we want to build trust. We want to create a safe, supportive environment where they can come to us and express what has happened and we can help them moving forward. And the last part of RBT is trauma-informed care. If you are not a trauma-informed care specialist or you don't feel comfortable enough or competent enough with working with a client as it pertains to trauma, you make sure you refer them to a specialist that is trained in dealing with trauma, because that is our code of ethics. That is our responsibility. We must make sure that we are competent. And if not, we have to refer them out to someone that is able to serve their needs. I hope this presentation was helpful. Very short and sweet, straight to the point. You got the ANT, which is the abuse, neglect, and trauma. You also have another term, FPW. You want to see if a client or individual shows some fearfulness, some physical marks, or they withdraw from people, circumstances, and situations. And then you have the intervention, which is the RBT. First and foremost, we must report. Yes, we are mandated reporters, but in the process of reporting, we also want to build that rapport with clients, and we also want to make sure that we're able to provide some trauma-informed care. I hope this was helpful. I know it was very short, straight to the point. I hope that was helpful, and you'll be able to recognize these terms when working with clients or on that exam. Be blessed until the next one. Don't forget to what? Yes, subscribe, like, and share. Visit us on the website at www.coachingelite.com. If you like this, we have way more programs, better programs that are more intense and get really deep down into the test prep content that you need to pass and succeed. And we also have some other tools and things that you might like. So if you have any questions, any concerns, hit me up in the comment section and ask, or visit our website. Until the next one, you have an amazing day.